Hot takes, great debates, highlights, basketball. Welcome to the NBA trade deadline, the 2020 edition. Breaking news. KarlAnthony Towns has finally got the oh-so-coveted help that he has been clamoring for the last couple of years. The Minnesota Timberwolves have pulled off a blockbuster trade. They've now gotten former All-Star D'Angelo Russell from the Golden State Warriors right before the deadline. I want to read you guys the entire trade via Woj over at ESPN. Golden State has agreed to trade D'Angelo Russell to Minnesota for a deal that includes Andrew Wiggins, a 2021 protected first-round pick, and a 2022 second-round pick. Warriors will also send Jacob Evans and Amari Spellman to the Timberwolves as well. The 2021 protected pick is a number 3 protection, and it becomes unprotected in 2022. Minnesota kept pushing for D'Angelo Russell, who they've wanted for quite some time, especially since summer free agency last year. And they finally got the point guard of the future, and all they had to do essentially was give up some picks and Andrew Wiggins. Again, some picks that could mean something down the line. We don't know right now. But, giving up the only talent you give up is Wiggins right now, a guy who I never believed in as a player. I always thought he lacked the motivation. I think this is a home run deal for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know some people are out there saying, KarlAnthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell are friends. If you ever watch one of D'Angelo's interviews in the past, he's always said that him and KarlAnthony Towns, they were going to play basketball together. He knew that this day would come. I don't know if he knew it would come this early in their careers. But look, D'Angelo Russell's name had been wiggling at the deadline. And I thought Golden State was acting too early on this trade. I would have waited to trade D'Angelo Russell, Alex Burks, and Glenn Robinson, who those two guys got moved to Philadelphia earlier. I would have waited to trade them this summer. That's me personally. I would have packaged up those guys with Golden State. Also, they're bad, so they're going to have a top 5 pick most likely. Most likely, they'll have a top 5 pick. I would have packaged all those ingredients together because it's a weak draft this year, right? Essentially, it's either James Wiseman, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, who I'm not sold on. These are the Cole Anthony. But if you're the Warriors, you're thinking to yourself, we don't need. Here's how I thought this through. If you're the Warriors, you don't need any of the guards in the draft. James Wiseman is a big fella, talented, with the Memphis Tigers. He only played a game or so with the Tigers. You're thinking, we don't need any of these guards. We got Steph and Clay who will be back motivated next year. We could trade that top 5 pick. We don't need Wiseman. We don't need anybody. It's a weak draft. I thought they'd keep Glenn Robinson, keep Alex Burks. Hell, if it took trading Eric Pascal as well, and in that top pick that you have, whatever it takes, I would have held on to all those assets and made a big trade this summer. They would have had D'Angelo Russell. Right? I would have kept all those assets and made a move this summer. That's what I would have did. Maybe you could have went out and got Anthony Davis if he wants to leave LA. Let's say the Lakers get eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. You don't believe the Lakers if Anthony Davis comes to them and say, yo, I want to play in Golden State. I'm going to walk if y'all don't trade me in a sign and trade. You don't believe the Lakers would have took on Russell, a top 5 pick to kind of repackage around LeBron and salvage whatever they had left? Come on now. I think the Warriors acted too quickly. Now, here's what I believe their fear was. I believe their fear was, the lottery format changed last year. And we saw teams like Cleveland, Atlanta, expected to have top 5 picks last year, and they ended up falling backwards a little bit. Top 3 picks, they ended up falling backwards in that lottery. So I'm thinking the Warriors were like, it's no guarantee we're going to get a number 1, number 2 pick, despite us having one of the top 2, top 3 worst records in the NBA. So I think their thought process is, we don't want to put too much into this lottery, these darn balls that's got to work in our favor, and focus on getting a perimeter guy based off our draft. What if they end up getting the 10th pick in the draft? It could happen, right? So I'm guessing they say, we're going to move now. We're going to strike D'Angelo Russell. We had his name out there. He knows if you watch D'Angelo Russell in his interviews, he knows his name was out there. And he knew it was a matter of time before he was traded either now or this summer. And he accepted it. He knew he was talented enough to make a difference elsewhere. At least for Golden State, or at least for D'Angelo Russell, he gets to play with a guy that he's always wanted to play it with, one of his closest friends in the NBA, and KarlAnthony Towns. Real quick, while we was talking about the Warriors, I want to say this. They get a guy in Andrew Wiggins who, they're trying to make him a better version of Harrison Barnes. Their first championship run, they had Harrison Barnes at the 3. Wiggins is more talented than Barnes is on paper, but they're kind of one and the same, right? These two former top picks. Harrison Barnes was the number 1 player coming out of high school. So was Andrew Wiggins. These guys, they play when they want to. And if I'm looking at Wiggins fitting in with this Warriors team, you're not a star on this team. You're 3rd, 4th, 5th fiddle even, depending on what happens this summer. I'm not sure if Wiggins is the perimeter defender that they're looking for. I believe the Warriors could have got someone of lesser overall talent, but would have done that job to their liking. Like, to be honest with you, I believe the Warriors could have won a championship next year, because I do believe once they get Steph and Clay back and whatever they do with that top pick, I believe they could win with Trevor Ariza at the 3. I believe Trevor Ariza fills the role of what they need at the 3. I don't necessarily believe they had to go out and get an Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell. I would have used Russell and traded him for something else. That's just me personally. It feels like they kind of did Russell a solid one. Like I said, he wanted to be around KarlAnthony Towns no matter where they were going to play at. And in regards to Minnesota, they give up on KarlAnthony Towns. This dude talked a big game. He played hard in October and November, but he was never around when you needed him. He never could help get this team over the hump. The deciding factor for this trade was last night. KarlAnthony Towns got on, he was pretty upset after the T-Wolves lost to Atlanta 127-120 at home, by the way. And in his post-game interview, he said, "I've been losing for a long time. I'm not trying to do this shit anymore." KarlAnthony Towns is not a disrespectful guy, so when he started cursing, something's up. He said, "Every possession means a lot. You obviously see my patience is running low with a lot of things. There's no excuses. We got to get it done." Let me tell y'all something. I already had a video made about KarlAnthony Towns demanding a trade this summer. Ironically, before I could even edit the video, I had already shot it, but I hadn't edited. This trade happens with D'Angelo Russell. He was going to demand a trade out of Minnesota this summer. You can see the writing on the wall. He said, "My patience is running low." I mean, you can clearly see his patience was running low for a reason. He was tired of being in Minnesota. In the video that I had created, I kind of brought up how Kevin Garnett, if you listen to Kevin Garnett or watch an interview from KG today, he says all the time, "I shouldn't have gave the Minnesota Timberwolves my entire prime." KG got traded to Boston when he was like 33, 34, somewhere around that. He relishes over those moments he had with the Celtics contending for championships. And in his mind, he thinks, "I should have gave a team that was more dedicated to winning my prime." He gave Minnesota all his prime, and all he's got to show for it was a Western Conference Finals appearance with Latrell Sprewell and Sam Cassell. That's it. He didn't have a great run in Minnesota overall. He was great, but that team wasn't great. And I think KarlAnthony Towns was just about to say, "I'm done here. I demand a trade. Get me the hell up out of Minnesota." But thank goodness for him, they were able to pull off the trade for Russell. In Minnesota, look, they still need a third option. They're going to need a perimeter defender to replace Wiggins that they lose. It wasn't Wiggins, though. I just don't know where it went wrong with Wiggins. I think he's a bit of an arrogant guy. And, look, you trade out Wiggins with a guy who can go get you a bucket. And him and Cat are friends. Like I said, the friendship ain't getting in my way. I don't care if they're friends or not now. If they don't want to play defense, that team could go out and get you 130 points a game with Russell and Towns. And I also think KarlAnthony Towns was tired of not making the All-Star game. He was putting up these great numbers. And again, he got, the coaches decided not to vote him into the All-Star game. He's tired of that. At least with Russell, the numbers are going to be so high, he'll finally have a chance to make an All-Star game. Again, breaking news into the platform. D'Angelo Russell's on the move. He has been traded to Minnesota for essentially Andrew Wiggins and some picks. Stay tuned. This trade deadline is picking up. It's much more exciting than I thought it would have been. I'm out. You into sports? We got you. NFL news? I got you. NBA news, NBA highlights, NBA full coverage, feature stories, all that great stuff. I got you. We even got a little bit of Madden and 2K mixed in. Subscribe to this platform, and I got you. More quality content on the way. Subscribe.